सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। Okay, so some of you may be wondering कि ये 1.5 घंटे का क्या सेशन होने वाला है। You know, it is like अरे 11 से 12:30, अरे स्वामी जी भी इतना टाइम नहीं लेते। पता नहीं कहाँ क्या होने वाला है बैठ के 1.5 घंटे के लिए। So this topic is something which is, it's very different in the sense that it is not going to touch upon directly any aspects of our philosophy or spirituality. It is a delve into history, but the history that you are going to look at is something that many times is missed across the, across many books and other, what is mainly generally known in popular sources. And the impact of history, first of all, before going into further, do you think history is really important for us to know?
Very, very important.
Oh, okay. But why?
Because we need to learn our past history.
Why?
History is the roots of mankind.
History repeat one at a time. Yeah. So history repeats itself. Okay.
History is the roots of mankind. So you must know about it. Somebody said that man without history is like a tree without roots.
Okay. Okay. But then the question is, tell me, okay, let us look at your typical day. Okay. You get up in the morning. Okay. Then most of you have to go to schools or colleges, I believe. Some unlucky ones have to go to work. So trust me, अभी तुमको लगता है अरे उनकी तो हमको क्या इतना असाइनमेंट रहता है, होमवर्क रहता है, ये बड़े लोगों का लाइफ बहुत अच्छा है. But anyway, point is, you start your day with that. Then you somehow, offline, online, जैसा भी है, you land up at your place. You start listening, talking. Actually, listening never stops, huh? You think कि क्लासरूम के बाद ख़त्म, एक बार क्लासरूम ख़त्म तो लिसनिंग ख़त्म नहीं, फिर वो अलग टाइप ऑफ लिसनिंग होता है. सिर्फ फ़ायदा ये है कि वो लिसनिंग में तुमको चाय मिलता है और बिस्किट मिलता है. So that listening still happens. Basically, you go from one meeting to another meeting, or you go on listening in school, go on lecture after another lecture. You do some time pass with your friends, and then evening hota hai, you go out, or you don't have time to go out. Also, you have to go to some class, some tuition, whatever. Finish your thing, go to sleep. Night हो गया, go to sleep मतलब बोलने के लिए. फिर सोना तो अलग होता है. पहले मतलब you go check your phone, look at answer 100 messages, and then browse through Instagram reels to see, if what is the latest trends, and then you do so many things, and finally when they have no option you sleep, and then next day but now you have no option but to get up. This is the general daylight. अब इसमें पता, how does history play any role in this? Suppose instead of say India was, say we have a 3,000-year-old culture, suppose we have a 8,000-year-old culture, how is your day going to be any different? That's okay, maybe. Yeah, maybe. But today, in your life, how does history change your life? Tell me. How does the knowledge of history make any difference to you? You suppose one person is there who knows history, other person who doesn't know history. Do you get any special privilege? Oh, you know history, I'll give you. You don't have to give maths. Exemption. No. You don't get any exemption. Nobody in the interview asks. Okay. We have an identity now also, right? You don't have an identity. All of us have some identity. We have made up some identity for ourselves.
We have an individual identity, but not a moral and a cultural identity, which is very important.
Okay, why should I have a moral and cultural identity? What difference is it making to me? That's the question. I don't have one, chalo. I don't have a moral identity. I have my individual identity. I am son of so and so. I am studying so and so. I have whatever. I have these talents. That's what people ask, right? Generally, if you ask somebody to fake your resume, or rather, sorry, make your resume. So people generally only put those things. Nobody asks whether you have a moral identity, cultural identity. Nobody cares for it. So why should I care for it?
The day it collapses, nothing will remain.
But okay, that means I should wait for some कोई तो D-Day में कि जब collapse होगा तब वो matter करेगा. Because that is very important, right? Because without knowing कि हम ये क्यों कर रहे हैं, फिर ये क्यों मैं 1.5 घंटा तुमको spend करना चाहिए to knowing all these things, if it's going to make zero difference in your life. Now, still, how many people say history is important and relevant? Huh? Then convince me. Oh, you love history, ठीक है? Now, that's a different point. हाँ, then you can read it. जिसको अच्छा लगता है पढ़ो.
It inspires us. See, there are people, our ancestors in the past, who through their contributions gave us so many things to enjoy in the present day.
Okay, I'm thankful to them.
Inspiration to preserve those and move ahead on the same path.
Okay, inspiration, all right. To understand why our environment is currently the way it is, right? Yes.
So we can't make any progressions in the present mankind also. So ultimately we'll go to that type of world only, not
Mhm.
developed.
Okay, very good points. See, one thing we must remember, history is no doubt about the past, but history is being made in the present. Think about it. All of us are making history as we live our life. It is somebody else's history. It is my life, but it is somebody else's history. History is happening in the present. Means we are making it in the present. And it is not that there is some, even though for the sake of understanding, for the sake of, categorizing, we may have categorized our history into different periods. You have the, ancient period, medieval period, pre-Renaissance period, especially European history, to aisa classify होता है. Pre-Renaissance, post-Renaissance, modernism, etc., etc. So you have certain classification. Here also you have the pre-Vedic age, post-Vedic age, like that. People do this classification. If core पे जाएंगे तो the Paleolithic age, Neolithic age, then you have the Iron Age, the Bronze Age. So you all these different classifications we do for our understanding and just to to capture certain ideas. But history is one continuously running book. It's his story which is never over. And because of that continuous running book, it is continuously affecting us every day, whether we realize it or we don't realize it. I described your typical day, true. And you may think, where is history in this? But because of history, your typical day is like this. Somebody said that point, कि हम गुरुकुल में रहते वरना. Point is कि your every day is being shaped because of not just your history, but the collective history of this entire country, or sometimes the entire humanity. So how I am living my life today is because of how so many people have lived their lives in some way in the past. So that means what? If I understand that and I understand how something has come to this stage, then I can use that knowledge to push myself into what kind of history do I want to create. What legacy do I want to leave behind? क्या धरोहर मैं छोड़ के जाना चाहता हूँ? That you can understand if you only knew the past. Suppose I'm just giving some example, okay? I'm sure some of the World Cup तो अभी चल रहा था, FIFA World Cup. How many people saw the finals? How many people don't care about football? Okay, ठीक है. Yeah, both categories हैं. I'm using, but at least देखा होगा ना गेम खेलते हुए, कभी खेला तो होगा. कोई भी स्पोर्ट में ये एग्जाम्पल चल सकता है. I'm just using football because it is recent memory. Now, if suppose I am receiving a pass from someone, okay, and suppose they don't know, कभी कभी ये I think sports quiz वगैरह में ऐसे दिखाते हैं, they just freeze it, okay, they'll freeze and they'll show some ball like this next to a person, okay. Now they'll just freeze it and said what happens next, ऐसा कुछ तो, and cricket also they do that. Sometimes they'll just show some ऐसा bat के पास and show what happens next, this sort of things. Now suppose I just show you a ball here and a person here and I show this is a goal, okay. Now, how should the person kick the ball to reach the goal? This is a simple question. I am showing a ball here, person here, and that is a goal. So how should the person kick the ball? Straight? Everybody agrees? No. It depends on how the ball is coming to him. The angle at which you kick or how hard you kick or what you do depends on not just where the ball is at the moment, but depends on how the ball is coming to you. It depends on the history of that ball. Right? If a ball was coming straight, you need to kick hard straight. If it was coming from an angle, you need to give it an angle. Because it is one continuity. Unless of course you don't know, you say, no, I will stop the ball and then I will kick. Okay, but still, to stop the ball, you should know how the ball is coming. In the same way, if you say, I am we are the visionaries of tomorrow, the leaders of tomorrow, we want to establish a great future for whole world, whole country. Very good. You have a goal. You want to kick the ball there. Very good. But if you don't know what the history is, you will invariably get your shot wrong. It will not go where you want it to go. That is why it is important for us to know our past and to know the history. Is that okay? By the way, remember, this is not a talk. This is a discussion. So if you don't agree, you can say, no, I don't agree. That's fine. Or you can even say that I agree and so and so. So feel free to join in and chip in with your own points whenever you need. Okay? And okay, and even volunteers can speak. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है हमको तो इससे जैकेट पहना के चुप बैठा दिया ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Anybody wants to participate can participate. Is that all right? So, of course, when I say history, it's a vast history, right? So there are so many things we can talk about, and these wonderful those nice small talks that you're getting in between the lectures, they are also talking about history in certain ways, specific aspects. I am going to focus on a very small part, and even that, this 1.5 hours is not sufficient to talk about it enough. But I'm just going to give you an introduction to something. The topic is colonially hungover. Okay? Two words are there, colonially and hungover. Let's first start with hungover. How many of you here don't know what hungover means? Okay? Okay? Yeah, those who know, I know. That's me. First, as far as those who didn't know. Okay? Hangover is more commonly, I'm just using the past tense of it, is of course that, it's a state, movies made on it, right? Some movies also, Hangover 1, 2. It's basically the state that you face the next day after consuming a toxin which should have never been in your body in the first place. Point is that whenever you have any kind of a drinking session or alcohol consumption, the day after that, what you feel is what described as a hangover. So the point is, what is the effect of hangover? What are common symptoms in hangover? Anybody knows? Headache, okay. Vomiting, okay. Giddiness. Okay. Hangover में थोड़ा वो कम हो जाता है, but हाँ रहता है थोड़ा बहुत, right? Balance नहीं हो पाता. Confusion, okay. Sorry? Confusion और क्या? Fatigue, tiredness, exhaustion, regret. Regret, huh? Guilt, loss of memory, right? No appetite, all right. Correct. अरे जिंदगी में कभी नहीं. So right, so basically it is a state where you are at the lowest in terms of your functionality, right? Your functionality is very low, you are confused, you don't remember what happened with you. Right? That's what the whole movies are made up of, on that one idea. You don't remember what you did, because therefore you have no idea what happened with you. That is exactly the state in which our country was left and is still kind of some facing, which is why we are still hungover. Unfortunately, we didn't happily join the drinks party. It was kind of forced fed to us. But that's exactly the same thing. We are a confused set of people. We have no idea what happened with us. We don't remember who we really are, and and also everything in this around us looks hazy, confused. We feel very low in energy, and all the same symptoms as one feels after an bout of alcohol. Now let's go to the first one. Colonially hungover. What does colonial word mean? The music group, right? Colonial Cousins. Not heard of it? Oh, ऐसा perfect 3 marks. Social economic तीनों word बोला इसलिए 3 mark. But can you repeat that definition once again? Okay, perfect. In reality, sorry, what's your name? Vishwaja. So whatever Vishwaja said is the essence of this next 1.5 hour session, okay? So we are going to be, so he summed it up in one sentence, which is what we are going to try and understand. Oops. Okay, ठीक है. So, alright. So there are different types of colonial powers, right? So anyone knows? Can you name some colonial powers? British, okay. French, Dutch, Spanish, Portuguese, Germans, yes, to some extent, yes. Japanese, correct. Chinese, not so much. They are more victims of colonization than perpetrators. Mughals, yes, to some extent correct. Although that word was not coined at that point of time. The word came more prominently used after the European nations started seafaring, basically, and trying to take over. Can you name some regions which were... Yeah, of course. Which were the victims of colonization? India, yes, of course. Goa, yes. China, Indonesia, Africa, Korea, correct. Mongolia. Sorry, which should say? America, okay. Both North and South. Yeah, West Indies also, yes. They were a victim of colonization. Correct. That is a different story, true. Hawaii, Philippines. Yeah, you can basically, if you close your, I know, if you have a game, बचपन में globe लेके ना, ऐसा उसको घुमा के तुम उंगली रखो. So either you will find a colonizer or a colony. Right. So it is almost the entire world has suffered, or either, as I said, either perpetrated or suffered the effects of colonization, and sometimes done both. So therefore it is, so it's a very serious topic, but let's not start seriously. Okay? Okay, so that was a pretty hilarious take on the how colonizing, but a lot of interesting points and disguised through comedy. Correct. And this happened across the world. Although he picked India because India was a very unique example in many ways. We'll see how the British did it. But this happened across the world and across cultures when colonizers simply went and took something because they believed it was their divine right to do so. So the strength of, or to do anything you need some moral justification, right? At least you need to have on paper some moral justification for whatever you do. So the moral justification of colonialization came from this feeling of superiority based on their religion and based on their race. So this was this gave them, they felt that we are here to save these people. White man's burden. We have to save these people. These people, poor, hungry people, these people in India, they are all these countries, they don't know how to live. We will tell them how to live. We will make sure they live correctly. And in that process, they completely destroyed everything in their sight. And Britain did the same with India, and with India there was the destruction happened at many different levels. But honestly, generally there are two sides to everything, right? We say. Sorry, I think there's a loose contact. So we say there are two sides to every coin, right? बोलते हैं ना हर चीज की दो पहलू होते हैं. So colonization may have done a lot of bad things, but aren't there some good things also that we got because of being under the British, right? Can you name some of these good things that we got because railways, okay? Sati prohibition, okay, correct. Sorry? Post offices, okay, some kind of administrations, okay. Huh? Railways, yeah, already said. Railways has been said. Prohibition of child marriage. So social evils, they help eradicate social evils, okay. What else? Education, right? So they help bring more education into this country, correct? Widow remarriage, okay, they helped widow remarriage to occur, okay. They helped to destroy the caste system, okay. Destroy whatever you may say, okay. They gave us beautiful architecture, all right, Victorian architecture. They brought some kind of industrialization to this country, all right. These are some of the main ones, okay. No, for some reason this is not. Okay. All right. So some of you, I think most of some of these points you guys already said. I think, yeah. So this was already said. So this was the railways, then architecture, Victorian architecture, as some people said. Raja Sati, people mentioned. Raja Ram Mohan Roy helped. Okay. This nobody mentioned. Right? Cricket, hockey, these games, they were brought to us. Then industries, right? The idea of India as a country, right? That's also something the British gave us, right? An identity. Okay. Then cricket they stole from us. Oh, so they looked at our gilli danda and they created cricket. Oh, okay. So, okay. All right. And of course, the idea of democracy, parliament system and all of that. So these are all the great benefits, right, that we have got from the British Raj. I don't know if I missed anything. Right? We are communicating in that language today, right? I am talking to you in English, you are talking to me in English. That also we got from the British, right? So all these are some great benefits. I think it's over. Education system, somebody said. Education system. I think it's all over. Okay. So these were all the benefits of British rule in India, right? Or so we think. Let's take a closer look. So, good that you mentioned all these points. Now we are going to take a close look at all these points one by one. Okay? First, let us do some quick classification of our invaders. Okay? So many people have come, तो track रखना मुश्किल हो जाता है कौन क्या किया. So थोड़ा सा एक classification रखते हैं. पहला group था जो conquer and stay. मतलब they came to conquer this country and to stay in this country as conquerors. So there you had the Mughals, the Greeks. Greeks had come way back with Alexander and all of that. Then uske baad you have the Mughals, then you have the Turks, the later Turks, the Sultanate kings. They all came, conquered, and they wanted to stay here. Next category is who came to loot and take away. They were not planning to stay. For the early Turks did that, the Mongols did that, and the Arabs did that. So they used to come only attack, loot, plunder, and take away. So that was a second category. Then some came with also intention to destroy the culture, to convert. We saw so many examples, right, where temples were destroyed and replaced with mosques, or idols were destroyed particularly. So many Islamic invaders, etc., came with That kind of a mindset. Their mission was not just taking money and all that, but also to destroy the culture itself. Interestingly, colonials did all of the above. They came to conquer. Having conquered, they looted very systematically. They destroyed the culture with great planning, and conversion was definitely at the heart of all their things. And in some cases, especially if you look at the Portuguese, etc., they were as barbaric, if not more barbaric than Islamic invaders. So they were combination, all in one product that the British and the other. We'll talk about British predominantly because they occupied the major part of this country, but there are other colonials did equally nasty stuff. Let's start with money. Okay, that's the economic was one of the points in the definition, right? That she gave in colonialism. So let us look at the money. सबसे पहले तो पैसा, right? सब जगह पैसा ही important होता है. Before that, we'll play a game. What's the game called? The unfair game. Okay. So for this game, you don't need to be into your groups, but I'll just make 2 groups overall. एक A side का group A. Maybe one of you can just put one horizontal line and नीचे A और B खाली कर दो उसको. Okay. A group and B group. ठीक है? 2 group में बना दिया मैंने. Now the game, you need to, so I'll give one choice. Okay. One team will start with 100 points. And one team will start with 0 points. Which team wants to start with 100 points? I see more hands going up in A. B वाले सब alert नहीं थे. You have lost your opportunity. So A team starts with 100 points. Okay, B team starts with 0 points. ठीक है? लालच के मैं ऑफर किया उनको. हाँ, देखो जैसा भी है. Okay, so team A starts with 100, team B with 0 points. Okay. Now first round is I'm going to ask some questions. Okay. Team A, if you answer the question, you get 5 points. Correct answer. Okay. Team B, if you answer the question, you get 20 points. Okay. So team A, your question is this. Name 3 Indian cricketers, okay, who have scored at least 10,000 runs in international cricket. In Test cricket, I don't think MS Dhoni has scored more than 10,000. Okay, Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli, Sunil Gavaskar. Very good. 5 points to Team A. Team B, question for you. Name any one Indian cricketer. 20 points for Team B. Next. अरे गेम का नाम तो है उधर सामने. Okay, Team A. Okay. I want one volunteer who will come and do 10 sit-ups. Okay, Tanush, आ जाओ. 10 sit-ups. Sorry. 1. Hey. चलो ठीक है चलो. 1 2 अभी स्टार्ट फ्रेश स्टार्ट है ये. बीच में वो काउंटर नहीं, अभी से फ्रेश स्टार्ट. हाँ. Okay, good. So 5 points to Team A. Team B, I need a volunteer. I'll tell you what you do after you volunteer. Fast, some volunteer, fast, Team B. Okay, you have to do a very difficult exercise, all right, Team B? जस्ट सी व्हाट आई एम डूइंग, वही करना है तुमको, ठीक है? 40 points to team B. 40 points. 4 स्टेप किया ना, तो हर स्टेप का 10 पॉइंट. ओके, नाउ एक काम करो रहमा, 30 पॉइंट्स ना ए से बी को डाल दो, -30 डाल दो इधर, उधर +30 कर दो. ओके, नेक्स्ट. ओके, नाउ आई एम गोइंग टू आस्क नाउ टीम ए. ओके, नाउ आई विल गो थोड़ा कल्चर वाला क्वेश्चन पूछता हूँ मैं. ओके, ठीक है, पहले टीम बी से स्टार्ट करता हूँ, ठीक है, इस बार चेंज. ओके, टीम बी, क्वेश्चन फॉर यू. नेम द 5 पांडवास. हाँ, एक हाथ, हाँ पहले उधर, हाँ बोलो. ओके, वेरी गुड, ऑर्डर में भी बोला. सो 50 पॉइंट्स. I am going to give you an opportunity to earn points. I be too unfair on you guys. This next question is worth 100 points, okay? Give me the names of the Kauravas. हर कौरवा अपने 100 पूरा बोलना चाहिए तब मिलेगा पॉइंट्स, एक एक का पॉइंट नहीं मिलेगा. 100 पॉइंट्स काम करने का मौका दे रहा हूं मैं. रोल नंबर है क्या? रोल नंबर ऐसे बुलाते होंगे क्या? कौरव 52. सॉरी, नो पॉइंट्स फॉर यू ऑल. ओके, चलो एक बार टोटल देखो कितना हुआ. 80. ओके, oh, team B wins. Big round of applause to them. Despite starting with 0 points, they have won excellently. Team A, you had a 100-point lead, but you have not lived up to the mark. I think you guys are थोड़ा लेवल कम है तुम लोगों का. B से थोड़ा सीखना चाहिए. Okay. Did you all? So team B, did you enjoy the game? Team A, did you enjoy the game? You know what is this game? Can anyone tell me why I am played this game right now? One at a time. Yeah, some in the back. You're Indians and Britishers. Okay. But in what context is this game? Hari Om, Hari Om. In what context is this game being played? Exactly. Now, first the point is, remember we started talking about the economics. Okay. The British policies of economics were far worse than what I did for this game. Okay, at least you are left with 80 points. By the time the British came and left, India had gone in negative, literally, or bare minimum. And we started off with a much bigger lead. Okay, and it was systematic. And you know, I'm not talking about this from the air. I'm going to show you an interesting video where you will see how we have actually been affected.
India's economic backwardness was Hindu Dharma. But the truth was revealed as the 21st century approached. It was widely believed that the main reason for India's economic backwardness was Hindu Dharma. But the truth was revealed as the 21st century approached. All over the world, reports started coming that India and China were once the most prosperous countries in the world. The Europeans had looted and ruined them. To find the truth of this, the OECD countries launched a major project to study it. A team was constituted under the chairmanship of Professor Angus Maddison. They started studying the history of the GDP of the world. When the report was published, the whole world was shocked. With a 34% share, India was once the wealthiest country in the world. That too, for 1,000 years and without looting anyone. There is no such example in the history of the world. But India was pushed down by plunderers and by exploitation. Before Britain started plundering India, it was still in the first place with a share of 24.5% of world GDP. In 1800, its wealth came down to 20%. In 1830, it was reduced to 17%. In 1880, down to 8%. And in 1900, it was only 1.7%. Who looted India's wealth? The British looted India's wealth. The palatial edifice of a great civilization crumbled. Indian society, which was industry-based from the times of the Indus Valley civilization, became poor within 100 years of British rule and became agriculture-based. During famines, 1/3 of the population perished. In spite of this, the revenue of the British East India Company increased manifold. From where did the farmers pay their taxes? The farmers sold the gold of generations to pay their taxes. The gold of Indian farmers still glitters in the city of London. And here, the Indian governments are still struggling to get the farmers out of that misfortune. Gold, silver, minerals, food grains, even fodder was not spared. One collector wrote to the Viceroy that it had not rained, so nothing was sown. There is only grass in the fields. The target of revenue cannot be met. The Viceroy sent the reply, "Grass is a good commodity. Sell it and send the money." The most fertile land on earth, where monsoon rains brought maximum water, was reduced to the land of famines. While millions were dying of hunger, the food grains of India were being sent to the armies of the empire. People who used to call food Brahm, who would not eat food but receive it respectfully, who would first offer it to a cow, a dog, a Brahmin, a priest, a servant or a guest, were starving to death. And their bodies were being eaten by dogs. India's population is basically vegetarian. When the mercury rises above 40 degrees, it is impossible to stay alive without salt. A heavy tax was put on salt. Colonizers earned millions by exporting it. India could never imagine that someone would kill them in this way. Due to salt deficiency, children died in the womb. The English created famines in India. Within 120 years, 31 major famines occurred. Smaller famines would occur practically every year. During these famines, people died in millions. The last famine occurred in 1943, in which over 3 million died in Bengal.
Right. So from grass to salt, nothing was spared. Okay? Nothing, absolutely nothing was spared. Every inch of land they could make money off, they made money off. Okay? You saw that number fall, right? Drastical fall. How do you think it happened? That's what I said. That moral justification was these people are, their lives are secondary. Okay? I'll come to some of the other aspects and how this was systematically engineered. Some key policies that the British did, okay, was, first thing, I'm not only about foreign trade, okay. Previously, India was engaged with many countries of the world because people used to come to India for spices mainly. Spice was a big wealth. And even many textiles, so many things. People used to come, and our Indian traders were very well known, very enterprising. In fact, all the way in Africa, people used to go to sell stuff and all of that. So, and all over in Southeast Asia, everywhere, traders were very enterprising. And a lot of trade used to happen with every country of the world. The moment British colonized us, they made sure that more than half of India's foreign trade was only with Britain. If anybody wants something, they have to buy it from Britain. Even if it is from India, they will sell it to Britain, and from Britain will sell it on to other countries. And obviously, you know how much they are going to pay us, right? And at what cost they will sell to others. It was pure, simple loot. You know what? Sometimes we see in those movies, some people poor farmer से 5 रुपए में भाजी खरीद के 50 रुपए में बेच रहे हैं. वो आइडिया यहीं से आया है. कोई कंट्री के साथ हुआ है. First thing was the monopoly on all foreign trade. Then they ensured that India was a net exporter of all raw material, but an importer of all finished goods. What that means? All the local artisans, industrialists, entrepreneurs is zero. Because abhi Make in India, when you're talking about it, why is Make in India needed like an initiative to create that entrepreneurship? Because nothing was made in India for more than 150 years. You only take your raw material and we will make it our way, and we will sell you the finished goods to you at a much higher price. Again, looted. And whatever, and because the thing is, even though we did a lot of export, right? So much raw material exported. So we should gain a lot of money from that. But that money that they gained was never used for Indians. That money was simply used by the British to either whatever administrative expenses. The British lived very lavishly. Right? Those British officials who were in India, they lived very lavishly, big palaces, for them like it was a big vacation home, lavish, rich lifestyle. All that money, who's paying them? The East India Company was not paying them. It was the money taken from India. Plus, to all the imports and to incur the expenses of war. How do you think they got the money to colonize so many places, to support the soldiers there? Of course, they also took soldiers from India. So many soldiers died in the First World War. So many. And now also you have those memorials in Europe for those soldiers. Why we went and died for England's war, somewhere in Europe. Think about it. We had nothing to do with anything. Jabardasti bhej diya udhar lado and maro. I'm not right. Let's stick to economics for now. Point is that all these ways, the money was systematically looted. And now let's talk about, but it is not that, how did we even survive? Because there were people who fought for India in many ways. Some of them fought through economics as well. Can you anyone identify who this is? This is not Jamshedji Tata. Anybody knows who this is? No, this is not Vikram Sarabhai. First of all, you have not even got the right state or the right part of the country. He is not Birla. He is from South India. I'll tell you that at least. See, that's a state of affairs. Okay, I don't think I'm going to get that. Anybody from the others also can, volunteers also can answer if they know who this is. This is person called as V.O. Chidambaram Pillai. Okay, or VOC. Is known as VOC. You know who this guy is? He was born in a very rich family. Okay, he was also a lawyer. He had studied law, and he was in a rich family. And he could have just lived his life like among all those lot of Indians who lived happily their own lives. But he felt that when he saw what was happening, he was first of all very inspired by Bal Gangadhar Tilak. So when he read about Tilak and about Swaraj and all of that, he was very inspired. And he was also inspired by Subramanya Bharati. Anybody have heard of Subramanya Bharati? He was a great Tamil poet who wrote, inspired people with his words. So, and because of all that, he got really inspired. And he wanted to challenge the British monopoly in many ways. So he did many things. I'm not going to go in details because it's a big story. But one major thing which he did was, the British used to monopolize all the maritime, all the ships basically, doing the trade between Tuticorin. He was born in Tuticorin district of Tamil Nadu, which is a seaport. So from that port to Sri Lanka, there used to be a lot of heavy traffic of maritime. And all the ships were owned by British. Obviously. So British companies owned all the ships, and they would charge a premium for any kind of task. So he said, and he found that, if some Indian companies making some product and they want to sell it to Sri Lanka, the British would charge a huge amount from them to do it. But they would do it very less cost for the British companies. So obviously, you are going to go in loss, right? And it's their choice. They will say, no, this is our rate for you, fixed. So therefore, he wanted to start. So he invested all his wealth to start a company called as a Swadeshi Shipping Corporation. He started his own shipping corporation. Imagine, he started his own company with the intention of helping the Indian businesses. Now the British hated him for that, obviously, because it was directly challenging their monopoly. And what happened was, he also saw that a lot of, the mills, etc., which were operating there in those regions, the workers were all treated very shabbily. So he started, arranging them together, helping, organizing them, telling them, don't accept this sitting down, you protest for your rights, you cannot be treated inhumanly. So all of that, and therefore the workers started protesting against the British. British saw this opportunity and said that this guy is an instigator of all this thing. So they charged him with sedition. And he was given double life imprisonment. That is 40 years. Sedition means to go against your country, betray your country, literally. Deshdroh. So he was charged with Deshdroh, and he was given 40 years imprisonment. And it was not some that do different kinds of imprisonment, right? Some are, you have something called as criminals, who are you are given certain criminal punishments. Then you have political prisoners, who generally are no doubt in jail, but they don't really get too much of those. A lot of trials, they can live reasonably comfortably in jail. But even though he didn't do any crime, he was put under criminal punishment. They used to make him, they used to put one big, olden days how they used to extract oil. You have that oil seeds in the middle, and you have one long, aisa ek khamba rehta tha, and you have bullocks, which go round. Abhi bhi गाँव में होता है, गन्ना का अभी भी दिखा, तो गन्ने का कैसे निकलता है. The bullocks go round, and in that the oil seeds get crushed and oil is made. He was made to do that instead of the bullocks. He was asked to go round like that. And after many years, he struggled, and all his supporters were also, put in jail. And angered by all of this, Collector Ash was one of the person who did all this. And one young Tamil Nadu youth, Vanchinathan, he actually assassinated Collector Ash to take against all this inhuman treatment. And what they did, they said that this guy is responsible for this, and put even more stricter punishment on V.O. Chidambaram Pillai. And by the time he got out of jail, all his wealth was finished. And the Swadeshi Shipping Corporation was obviously gone. But he did that for our country. Okay, one more example. This name actually came in the previous time. He is not Jamshedji Tata. Correct. It is Ghanshyam Das Birla. Okay. So G.D. Birla, he was established in Kolkata at that time, and he started, he again, many things he did, and one of the things he started was the jute manufacturing. At that time, he said that Britishers only, so Indian he said, if you want to do jute, you will be given more, you have to pay more taxes than what the Britishers will pay. He agreed it. He said, I will still make a business out of it. I'll make it profitable, but I will pay you more money if you want, but I'll make it profitable. So he worked with that, he started, and of course he was a big contributor to the freedom struggle. Indian freedom struggle needed money, right? Have you ever thought about it? Who gave us money for all those people who are struggling for our freedom? Money should have come from someone, no? But money was given by industrialists like G.D. Birla. So he took on, he was greatly inspired by many people. So at that time he contributed up to 1 crore. At that time, okay, 1 crore is a big amount. To the Swarajya fund that was started in the memory of Bal Gangadhar Tilak. He contributed 1 crore at that time for it. It is not big, easy numbers to get. And he did it with great, and he supported many things. There's an India, Birla House used to be like a hot spot where all the leaders used to meet. And he made sure, even today Birla House is there. So he made sure that way he supported. And again, he survived the thing, and after independence also, Birla is still around. Birla industry is still flourishing, and they have done many philanthropic things, education institutions. Anyone know the one education institution started by Birla's? Famous one? BITS Pilani, right? So the Birla Institute of Technological Sciences. So Pilani was where he was born basically. So that's how they set it up over there. So again, They survived. This name already has come many times now, so I think people should know. Amshiji Tata. Again, lot of struggle. One point I'll just talk about him. You know, when he had gone to, so at that time there was a civil war going on in America. I don't know if you heard of it. In the US, civil war was happening. And US used to be the place from where cotton used to be procured in large amounts for the mills in UK. Cotton used to come from US. Because of civil war, cotton was disrupted. The supply was disrupted. So there was an opportunity. He felt that we can go and sell our cotton, Indian cotton I can sell to the British. So he got onto the ship with that, कि हम वहाँ जाके ले लेंगे. But in those days, travel is not like now, right? It used to take months to get there. And there was no instant Wi-Fi or anything where you can get idea. In the time it took for him to actually reach England, civil war ended in US. And in that time, and again supply started. So when he went there, nobody was willing to buy cotton. They said, हमको मिल गया cotton, तुमको नहीं चाहिए हमारा cotton. So then he realized, why am I coming and selling cotton to these people? Why don't I start my own mill in India? And he said, for that, let me study the mills here. And he went to Manchester, etc., to look at the mills. And he saw that the condition of the workers was pathetic. And in fact, the sky was fully black. Everything was covered with ash. The workers used to be given very, very terrible places to sit and work there. When he saw all that, he said, I will never start an industry like this. He said, it's a shame for me to have an industry like this. So he came back and many things happened and he chose Nagpur as one of the places to start the mills. Because everybody said, oh, you're starting now. That time Nagpur was nothing. Nobody knew much about it. Mumbai was still a very famous place. But why he went to Nagpur? Because he saw that the weather is best suited for that. And he grew a type of cotton which people could, Egyptian cotton, he managed to grow it in Indian conditions with lot of investment and lot of thinking. And we started a successful mill in India. And he gave workers a lot of much better working conditions. In fact, later on, when the government formulated their labor policy, etc., they used to refer to Tata Group's policy to decide the labor laws. Because that good they were. And of course, I don't talk much about Tatas. We all know what their contribution has been. So in spite of all of these adverse effects, many people like this, they ensured that Indian entrepreneurship survived. Jamshedji Tata was also instrumental in starting the Indian Institute of Science. Some of you may be aware of it. Now we'll come to railways, right? Railways दिया ब्रिटिश ने हमें, बराबर दिया तो है उन्होंने line पे first train was run between Bombay and Thane, right? So first India, British only gave railways to us. Let's think, why did the British give railways to us? Did they feel very, अरे इनको इतना इनसे ले रहे हैं, हम इनको कम से कम रेलवेज तो दे सकते हैं ना? पहला चीज तो रॉ मटेरियल ट्रांसपोर्ट, बिकॉज वो कहाँ माइंस कहाँ से जहाँ से लेना है. सेकेंड इज फॉर मिलिट्री मूवमेंट, बिकॉज दे वांटेड अ वेज, बिकॉज घोड़े पे जाएंगे तो उनको पता है कि बहुत लेट हो जाएगा. देयरफॉर दे वांटेड अ वेज ऑफ क्विक मूवमेंट ऑफ मिलिट्री अक्रॉस द कंट्री, जहाँ पे भी चाहिए. That military movement of, and of course the British elite wanted a safe way to travel. Because of, Indians were not even allowed in all those coaches. Like first class coaches, seen those picture dabba. So, 100 log upar baithe hain dabbe ke, all of that. That's how Indians used to be given third class treatment even in railways. They didn't make railways for India. They made railways for themselves. No, I give this example. It is like this. Suppose तुम्हारे घर में ना एक चोर आया, उसने ना लैडर लगा के घर के अंदर घुस गया, चोरी की, पूरा लूट लिया. जाते वक्त लैडर छोड़ गया और तुम बोलते हो बहुत अच्छा चोर था यार, लैडर दे के चला गया, कितना अच्छा काम किया. लैडर नहीं होता मेरे पास वरना. That is exactly how it is when we say कि British give us railways. Yeah, we should be thankful for them. They couldn't take it with them. How will they take railways? छोड़ के जाना ही पड़ा, वरना वो भी ले जाते हो. कैसे वो छोड़ के जाना पड़ा, तो छोड़ के गए. So point to remember is that railways may have been established. And do you think India didn't adapt new technology with so many years? Indian kings didn't buy guns. They bought guns and guns. In fact, if you go to history, they used guns, they used cannons when it was being used from elsewhere. Don't you think we could have imported railway technology also if we needed? Didn't we have the money to buy it? We would have employed those British engineers to do it for us. We had enough wealth. So it is too myth to think कि British नहीं होते तो हमको रेलवे नहीं मिलता. हम खुद बनवा लेते और हम अपना भी बना लेते बेटर उससे. Right.
No, she had actually written a letter to the Peshwa saying, "Do not let the Britishers enter our country. They are like a bear; they will tickle and kill." But the Peshwa somehow did not heed her advice, even though he respected her a lot, used to believe her. But यहाँ पे नहीं सुने थे, and the
Right.
Britishers entered.
Correct.
And in fact, उन्होंने Britishers, and in fact, उन्होंने. Okay, so. Hello. Yeah. So what I was saying was that one of our very great queens, whom we know as Punyashlok Ahilya Devi Holkar, okay, she actually wrote a letter to the Peshwa saying, "Do not let the Britishers enter our land. They are like a bear. They will tickle and kill." Imagine the foresight she had then, and the Britishers were trying to enter then. And उन्होंने in fact Britishers को भगाया भी हुआ है. And as we all got to know in the video to say that India was an industrialized state. Ahilya Devi Holkar ji ka Maheshwari sari was started not only for men but for the women of Madhya Pradesh. And the Rewa community is producing it till date, till today. एंड वो महेश्वरी साड़ी जिससे आज भी कुछ 5,000 से लेके 25,000 घर चल रहे हैं, आई एम नॉट वेरी श्योर ऑफ द स्टैट्स, वो हमें हम कह रहे हैं कि ब्रिटिशर्स ने हमें इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन दी. हाउ रॉन्ग इज दैट? हाउ वेरी रॉन्ग कुड वी बी? एंड दैट्स व्हाई, एज अरविंद भैया सेड, हिस्ट्री इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट.
Right. Thank you so much, Ananta, for nice points. I also didn't know many of these. Thank you for adding that. But yeah, all those who are foresight, Shivaji Maharaj also was very wary of the British. In fact, that's the reason he strengthened up all our naval, because we didn't have any navy enemies, right? Shivaji Maharaj didn't have any naval enemies. The reason he spent so much in making sure Maratha army had a good navy was because he anticipated that these guys are not really here to do business with us. All right. So this is the first aspect of the colony. So we understood industrialization and railways का जो हम बात करते हैं, that is all just not at all a great contribution or something we need to be thankful to the British for. Second, let's talk about the political effects. I'm sure this map is self-evident what I'm talking about here. What point am I referring to here? Anyone can understand from seeing this map? One of the bloodiest events in human history was the partition of India. It was done very hodgepodge, without much understanding, without any consideration. It is like, the whole thing was terrible. So many conspiracies happened behind the scenes. I can't go into those details in today's session. But what they left India with was a terrible thing. People often talk about this. If India was so many, people attacked us, how come we are still so much? And therefore, it's also all this attacking and all, you're exaggerating things. India is still such a big country. How come we are, this? India is still a big country because India was much bigger to begin with. So, this thing, of course, already, this whole idea, the idea of India was something the British gave to us is absolutely wrong. In the inaugural session, Swamiji said, right, the definition of Bharat, Himalayas in the north, the Samudra in the south, and all this expanse, the concept of Bharat has been there for thousands of years. We may have had different kings ruling different parts, which we are seeing, but culturally we were always one country. Bharatvarsh is a very old term, not a new concept that the British gave us. Yes, Akhand, correct. Chanakya was having that foresight. We need to protect ourselves from these external invaders, otherwise the cultural integrity of this nation would be lost. So therefore we were definitely, this idea of Bharat was very, very old. In fact, if you go to Mahabharat, in Mahabharat, there is one episode where the Pandavas go on Digvijay Yatra. I don't know if you're aware of it. This was after Yudhishthira became the king of Indraprastha. I don't know how good your Mahabharata is. So if you're, whatever you understand, you take it. When Yudhishthira there was a Rajasuya Yajna that he did. And to do that Rajasuya Yajna, you have to be acknowledged as the supreme emperor by all the kings around this. So for that, all the 4 Pandavas went in different directions. Koi north gaya, koi east gaya, koi west gaya, koi south gaya. You see the kings who have been described, you see the description. They went west में all the way Afghanistan, Gandhar वगैरह cross करके गए. East में they went all the way Myanmar तक वहाँ पे उधर गए. South में they went up to Sri Lanka. All the way they went there. North also they went all the way to the Himalayas and Tibet and all these places. So they went to every place. And it is said that all these kings fought in the Mahabharata war. Now imagine, all those kings came and fought in the actual Kurukshetra war. So why would they care about it if there was no cultural one identity of these ki itna ye all are relevant to our country? Because we already had those ideas. It's just that we were ruled by different. Now think about it, the European Union, right? It is ruled by different governments, but don't they function together as one entity for most part? Because that idea was always there. We were one entity with different people, and in fact we are much more tolerant than the European countries. And remember, Afghanistan, Nepal, Myanmar, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh, all this has been ripped out of our country. We have lost more than what we have currently left with us. So it is not that all the invasions and all this we didn't face any consequences in terms of land. We have faced consequences. And people say, Kashmir ke liye kyun itna kar rahe ho? Ek chota sa land hai, de do na. People talk like that. It is not about chota sa land. We have already lost a lot of land. Lot of land has been lost. Systematically we have been losing it. So point is this. So if you think the British helped us or gave us an identity as one, it is absolutely wrong. Tell me, why did even we take this identity as one? It's not that the British told, aap log na sab milke ek group banao. The British say, ये लोग अच्छा तुम महाराष्ट्र से हो नहीं तुम आ जाओ तुम तमिलनाडु वाले आ जाओ सब मिलके नाम एक ग्रुप बनाते हैं. They didn't do it. They naturally came together because they felt this is one country. They could have asked for separate countries, no? Why didn't they ask for separate countries? Why did they ask for one country? Because already in our minds and hearts we were one country. Partition also happened at the last moment, actually. Till that time, nobody was asking for different countries. They all wanted only one country. Why did it? Because all of us were occupied by British, so humko ek country chahiye. Aisa nahi tha. Because we already had that identity as one country. And they just wanted a political recognition of it. That's all. So we must remember these false narratives. One more question. Democracy. वो तो British ने दिया, correct? Okay. Right.
Doubt about Myanmar. So, since ancient times it was called Brahmadesh, was it considered a different country? Because hello. Yeah, so I had a doubt about Myanmar, like whether it was considered in ancient India or not, because it was always Brahmadesh. And I read in history was that British unified it with their British Raj. Most of them don't consider themselves as Indians. They say that we were forcefully integrated with the Indians and then we got our freedom in 1949.
Right. See, the point is like this, that obviously if you go to any country now and tell them that you are part of my country, they would not want, because they would want their own independent identity. Like that, if you ask even Sri Lanka, they will say, no, we are a separate country. But technical point here was that culturally, they were all very similar to each other. See, the concept of country politically was never there, right? Because we had different people ruling different places. So that was being ruled by different people. This was being ruled by different places. But we saw ourselves as one cultural entity. That was the point here. So yeah, country, they may have be a different country. That's fine. But they were part of the same ecosystem, the same, the right same sphere of thinking. And that is why they were also part of the same Indian subcontinent, so to speak. But then the point is that now, of course, we are politically separate. Now we are not going to tell them, no, you come to us. That's a different story. Today we have to accept that they are a separate country. But it's culturally, we were all part of one whole. The idea is that. So the thing about democracy is that, first of all, tell me, Indians, when they fought for getting democratic rights from the British. British didn't give us democracy. They तो were initially Indians only that हमको dominion status दे दो, वैसे तो start किया था. बाद में we said no, we want full Swaraj because we want our own people to rule this country. So we asked for democracy and got it. And not all countries which became free from the colonial became democracies. Many of them didn't become democracy. It was our choice. We wanted to take democracy as our choice. And many kings willingly embraced that. Remember, even when the British left, there were 584, some number, around princely states were left. When the British left, when most of them, except one or two of them, they all willingly accepted कि ठीक है, we will be part of the, we don't want those, we will take the back seat and let people take the, let us be governed by a democratic system. So the kings were understanding. They themselves supported the idea of democracy. That's how we got it. If some king said we don't want democracy, then it would have been, everywhere would have been so many clashes. Except for one or two kings, all kings willingly gave up their power. And in fact, many monarchies in the world became democratic without colonial rule also. Like all these also were not democracies to begin with. They also were other, so some of them adopted democracy because they found it's a good system. India would have also adopted. There is nothing to think India would have never gone for democracy. And the biggest joke is that Britain itself has monarchy still left. What is the, the Queen holds so much power as per the British rule law. So much land she owns, so much power she has. Why is that? Those, you may think she's not using it, but why is that even required?
They live their lavish life based on British taxpayers.
Right, exactly. Why they could have said, no, why is the Queen needed, tell me? Just for making some movie series on them. That's how that royal family seems to have no other purpose to be there. But that's still there. So the idea that we got democracy from the British and all is also very, very flawed idea. Because they themselves are not fully a democratic country yet. Correct.
Looking after the people welfare.
Correct.
And always the fact that Raja apni praja se hai. This was always there. It has been there for years.
Correct.
Chanakya ka Arthashastra and all of that talks about taking care of the praja in a democratic manner.
Correct. And there used to be so many sabhas and mahasabhas and all these places, where people had a right to give their points of view. And there were representatives who would be appointed. They would come, although the election process may be different. But the idea of people representation in governance is not a new idea or alien idea to India at all. It is very much part of our culture. Correct. 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 Okay. Now, but एजुकेशन तो कम से कम उन्होंने हमको दिया. आपने ये सब पॉइंट हटा दिया, ठीक है भैया जाने दो. एजुकेशन के पॉइंट पे तो कोई और लॉजिक नहीं हो सकता. Right. So this is one nice thing. It's there in one of the books that we have come up, which is comparing the state of education in the beginning of the 19th century. Sorry, ऊपर थोड़ा कट गया. The beginning of the 19th century is a comparison of the education status in the education condition in England versus the condition in Bharat. Just read. I'm not going to read every point. I'll just give you 2 minutes to look at it. Yeah, you can take a photo. This is a series of books that Chinya Mission has designed. It will be released officially soon, but it's called the RRR, Resilient, Resurgent, Radiant Bharat. Nothing to do with the movie. So, do you think we really needed their help in education? Yeah. Correct. That is true. See, of course, our education has faced many troubles since a long time. और नालंदा तक्षशिला यूनिवर्सिटीज़ के साथ क्या हुआ, वी ऑलरेडी नो दोज थिंग्स कि वी वर सफर. सो बहुत सारे अटैक्स हैं हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम पे, बट वी सर्वाइव्ड समहाउ. बट द पॉइंट इज, एज आई सेड, द ब्रिटिश सिस्टमैटिकली डाइवर्टेड द education system, and the question is कि already we had so much of education happening in our way. Why did the British even interfere with our education system? Why did they bother with educational reform? They could have just left us as it is. But there is a very, very important reason why they did it, and I'm going to show you another very interesting video which talks about this. But before that, I'm going to just do a quick quiz. Okay, you need to guess this person's job. This is not part of the unfair game. Huh? People will be still sulking. Team A will be like, I am not answering any questions. This is not part of that. So you can read. So guess this person's job. Areva, everybody is still awake. Okay. Farmer. Okay. scientist, okay? Housewife, okay? Air hostess, okay? Teacher, okay? Okay, so basically what answers I have got so far is, first one is police, second one is businessman, third one is farmer, fourth one is scientist, fifth one में बहुत सारे options है, but homemaker and air hostess and teacher are some of the answers. Okay? Now, I am going to show you a picture of a CEO. This person is a CEO. Zoho, right? Anyone knows his name? Sridhar Vembu is the name of this person. He is a founder and CEO of a company called Zoho, which is a $1 billion corporation. Okay? But because I showed you this photo, and because you saw here that, you know, धोती कुर्ते farmer होंगे, see, पहला तो businessman, वो तो businessman है, ये तो farmer ही लग रहा है. But when I show you this photo, you'll say, huh? This person is a CEO. But if I showed him another photo like this, then you say, this guy is CEO. Why the CEO cannot be like that? Why? Conditioning because of education. And who are these women? Why couldn't that last image there be of a scientist? Why she has to be homemaker and air hostess? Because she's in sari? And she's wearing Indian wear? These are our scientists in ISRO. This is the danger of conditioning, and this is why, and all of you are good people, right? None of you have any, all of you are very patriotic, very like our country a lot. But still, why did that answer become instantaneously like that? You didn't even think. It just naturally felt. Because of our conditioning, because of the education system. Let's watch another video. This is actually a very beautiful video. I would recommend all of you should watch the whole video. We are going to show some few clips in it today for lack of time. I'll tell you the video name after the session is over. So you see the words that guy used, very beautiful words, the KGB guy. He said that it almost becomes programmed. I'm not saying all of you are brainwashed people, but I'm just saying, weren't you programmed to think in a certain way when I showed you those images? It didn't feel, it felt natural, right? It felt like the obvious. But that's because that's the power of education. You change them at the you change the education system, you make certain things, repeat them in different ways, you start believing that to be the single truth. And you don't even realize you are being biased. Because it has been made natural. And that's the reason they took on our education system. There's a lot more I can talk about education, but this is just to begin with. You know, let's talk about English quickly. So English is a gift that the British gave us, right? I'm talking in English, you're talking in English. अगर English नहीं होता तो हम Indians कैसे बात करते? हम बात कर रहे थे ना? कितने centuries तक हम बात कर ही रहे थे? अक्रॉस इंडिया लोग ट्रैवल कर ही रहे थे, तब कहाँ बात करते? ऐसा तो माइम थोड़ी करते सब जगह जाके, बात तो कर ही रहे थे. आदि शंकराचार्य कहाँ के थे? केरला के थे. उनके गुरु थे मध्य प्रदेश में और नर्मदा के पास. उसके बाद वो गए हिमालय में, उधर जाके उन्होंने उधर बाकी स्कॉलर से डिबेट किया. उन्होंने पुरी में जाके मठ किया, द्वारका में मठ एस्टेब्लिश किया. तो कहाँ वो कौन इंग्लिश में पढ़ते थे? ये शास्त्रार्थ इंग्लिश में होता था. कोई ना कोई कॉमन लैंग्वेज तो था ही हमारे पास बात करने के लिए. अधिक आदि शंकराचार्य तो स्कॉलर थे, बट कॉमन लोग तो ट्रैवल करते थे, बिजनेसमैन ट्रैवल करते थे अक्रॉस. पिलग्रिमेज अपना हर जगह अलग अलग रहता था, राइट? लोग 4 धाम यात्रा तो पहले से करते आ रहे हैं. हमारे ज्योतिर्लिंग, 12 ज्योतिर्लिंग तो अक्रॉस इंडिया डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड है. शक्तिपीठ अलग अलग जगह पे है. तो लोग तो ट्रैवल, कॉमन लोग भी ट्रैवल करते थे अलग अलग इंडिया पे. तो क्या बोल नहीं पाते थे एक दूसरे से? बात तो कर ही लेते थे, कॉमन लैंग्वेज तो मिल ही जाता था. So this whole idea कि इंग्लिश नहीं होता तो हम क्या बोलते? How will we communicate with each other? We were already communicating with each other. We would have found a way of communicating. By the way, I'm not saying we should not learn English, etc. I'm only saying that this image, English is somehow a best language or a sophisticated language is completely false. In fact, I'll just quickly show you some comparisons. Maybe I'll talk about not all of them, and time नहीं है अभी बात करने के लिए ना हर चीज़ पे बात कर सकते हैं. I'll mention this. Everybody knows the ABCD? Everybody knows the song? Anybody wants to sing? चलो एक और कोई अनंता का आवाज तो हमने सुना है. Anybody else wants to sing ABCD? हैं? भूल गए क्या? हाँ, सबको गाना ऐसे नहीं बोलते ABCDEFGHIJK LMNOP. वो अचानक से वो रोना फिर QRS. वाह वाह वाह, सबको आता है. गुड 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 गुड. यू नो क्यों हमको इतना जबरदस्ती याद करना पड़ता है उसको? क्योंकि उसका कोई लॉजिक नहीं है. Those alphabets have been placed in an extremely random manner, which has no logic as to how the alphabet positioning का कुछ लॉजिक ही नहीं है. ऐसे ही डाल दिया. उसको याद रखने के लिए फिर गाना गाना पड़ता है. You know, our Sanskrit alphabets are arranged in a very very systematic way. ये ऐसा अरेंजमेंट ही क्यों है? रैंडम नहीं है. You know, you can फटाफट I'll just explain 2 minutes because the time नहीं है डिटेल में बताने के लिए. You know, if you just touch your different parts of your throat and your mouth, you will see the sound travels from base to lips. Okay? Ka, ka, ga, gha, nga. Cha, cha, ja, ja, na. Then ta, tha, da, dha, na. Ta, ta, da, dha, na. Then pa, fa, ba, bha, ma. So you are going from here to here. There's a reason why those alphabets are placed in that manner. And the last in everything, no, तुम नाक बंद करके बोलोगे ना तो वहाँ से वो साउंड निकलेगा. Nasal sound. क, ख, ग, घ, ङ. Yeah, I'm not. Last मतलब वो नहीं, 11 नहीं. हर अल्फाबेट का जो लास्ट है ना nasal. से all that you say क, ख, ग, घ, ङ. आएगा यहाँ से आवाज. You can reproduce it from logic. All these sounds. Is there some logic for you how you can reproduce ABCD? There's no logic. Think about it. And we say कि नहीं, English is very very sophisticated language. See, I'm sure ये मैसेज बहुत WhatsApp में घूमता है. Very funny, right? Very funny, right? You know, the thing is, the joke is not on the person who wrote this. The joke is on the language. Because this also can be read correctly. I can read this as marriage certificate. I can read it correctly. If somebody doesn't know already, if I give you a new word in English, can you tell me how it is pronounced? There are silents. Suddenly some alphabet becomes silent suddenly. ब्रह्मलीन हो जाते हैं वो. Silence में चले जाते हैं. Then there are some alphabets which keep changing their sounds. And you should know, they will not tell you before. तुमको पता होना चाहिए. Cut but put. बचपन से ये सीख रहे हैं ना. Cut but not put अचानक से. House, houses. Mouse, not very nice. There is no logic or rhythm and you cannot read it what it is. People say Sanskrit chanting is very difficult. Honestly, Sanskrit chanting is very easy because it is read as it is given. जैसा है वैसे पढ़ना है उसको, कोई चेंज नहीं है उसमें. जैसे बोलते हो वैसे लिखना है उसको. डिक्टेशन इंग्लिश में होता है, बहुत बड़ा डिक्टेशन टेस्ट होता है इंग्लिश में. क्यों देना पड़ता है? क्योंकि पता नहीं वो स्पेलिंग और बोलने में अलग अलग है. संस्कृत में डिक्टेशन टेस्ट बहुत ईजी है. कोई जैसा सुनोगे वैसा लिखो. यू जस्ट नीड टू नो कि कौन सा वर्ड कैसा सुनता है, दैट्स ऑल. But yet today we talk about, but English is considered a very great sophistication language. And meaning changes with the order of words. Okay. Rama killed Ravana. I changed the order. Ravana killed. I'll give you a Hindi example. संस्कृत में नहीं पता हमको. राम ने रावण को मारा. रावण को राम ने मारा. मीनिंग चेंज हुआ? मीनिंग चेंज नहीं हुआ. वर्ड चेंज किया तो मीनिंग चेंज नहीं हुआ. इंग्लिश में तुम ऑर्डर चेंज करोगे, मीनिंग चेंज हो गया. दैट इज वाई संस्कृत एंड अदर देवनागरी लैंग्वेज और इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस आर सो गुड टू मेक पोएट्री. बिकॉज तुम वर्ड्स को फेरा फेरी कर सकते हो मीनिंग मेंटेन रख के. इंग्लिश में पोएम बहुत मुश्किल है लिखना. ऑनेस्टली. ज़्यादा तुम इधर उधर करोगे तो मीनिंग ही बदल जाएगा. सो पॉइंट इज कि अगेन दिस होल की इंग्लिश हमको ब्रिटिश ने दिया होगा, बट हम फिर भी सीख ही लेते. इतना मुश्किल नहीं है सीखना. मुश्किल है थोड़ा सीखना हमारा, मानता हूँ, वो कोई ऑर्डर नहीं है उसमें, बट फिर भी कर लेते मैनेज. So removal of social evils by the British. How will they remove social evil जब वो खुद ही social evil थे? You know, again, you can talk in deep about everything, but time नहीं है ज़्यादा, तो I'll just mention about Sati. First of all, the word Sati is never mentioned in any scriptures. पहली बात तो सती किसका नाम है एक्चुअली? पार्वती जी का नाम है, राइट? एंड व्हेन यू स्टोरी पता होगा आपको, दक्ष यज्ञ का स्टोरी थोड़ा बहुत ब्रीफ में, कि दक्षा इंसल्टेड शिवा एंड यू नो इन फीलिंग अशेम्ड ऑफ दैट एंड शी जम्प्ड, पार्वती सती देवी जम्प्ड इनटू द फायर. नो टेल मी, डज इट एनीथिंग हैव टू डू विद समबडी डाइंग? वाज शिवा अलाइव, वेरी मच अलाइव व्हेन पार्वती जम्प्ड इनटू फायर? सो हाउ इज दैट रिलेटेड टू गोइंग ऑन योर हस्बैंड्स फ्यूनरल पायर? वर्ड का ही कोई संबंध नहीं है उसके साथ, पहली बात तो. दूसरा चीज़, देयर इज अ कॉन्सेप्ट कॉल्ड एज सहगमना, which is there in our scriptures. Sahagamana was a voluntary practice in which, in case some partner had a very deep love for her husband or whatever, some woman, and when the husband passed away, she voluntarily chose to end her life. It is a practice called Sahagamana, but that is a voluntary practice. We see in the whole of in our epics and Rama and Mahabharat, very few instances of Sahagamana are there. One example is when Pandu died. Madri said ki I want to give up my life. Actually Kunti wanted to volunteer. Madri said no, because of me only Pandu lost his life, so I will volunteer and do it. But in Ramayana, when Dasharatha died, nobody did Sahagamana. All his wives were very much alive. And when so many people died in Mahabharata itself, no wife committed Sahagamana. Even in Ahilya Bai Holkar, in her story, Dhananta pointed out, she wanted to do Sahagamana. But her father-in-law said, no, please don't leave, we need you to remain, so be with us. So everywhere, wherever you can find this mention, it is purely voluntary, done by very, very few women. It was their choice, that's all. You may not like that choice, but it's their choice. As I said, some aspects of society were like that, maybe thinking, but it was not prevalent everywhere. Otherwise, every woman would have done it. Not all women did it. Very few women have done it, and therefore, the fact remains it was not a social evil all over the India. In South, people have never heard of Sati. If you ask in any South, they have never heard of Sati. In Maharashtra, I don't think anybody has heard of Sati as such big time. It's just that over the years, people have spoken about it. Bengal, एक दो जगह पे थोड़ा सा practice होता था. But that was again very few things which was being done. But that was projected as the bane of entire India. कि पूरे भारत में और हिंदू कल्चर में सती वॉज हैपनिंग एंड वी ब्रिटिशर्स वी सेव्ड यू बाय पासिंग द सती एक्ट. डू यू थिंक एक एक्ट पास करने से सब कुछ हट जाएगा? ऑनेस्टली स्पीकिंग. बट सती गायब हो गया. कैसे गायब हो जाता? अगर वो पूरे इंडिया में प्रिवेलेंट प्रैक्टिस था, वो ब्रिटिश ने लॉ लिख दिया यार, अब बंद कर देते हैं यार. ऐसा तो नहीं होगा. वो थिंक अबाउट इट. बट हमको क्या पढ़ा जाता है? राजा राम मोहन रॉय, चार लोग ने, एक ही आदमी था. He made everything go away because of his one act. How can it go away like that? If it was really a practice prevalent everywhere. Think about it. That's all I'll say. Again, Varna, Jati, again not going into today because it's a very deep concept. But just one quick point I'll tell you. When they were mentioning that caste classifications karna tha, so some of the standards British used to do the caste classification, higher, lower caste and all. One concept they used was skin color. They said, the skin color we never said, they said, skin color se hum classify karenge. Then they use length of nose. I'm not joking. Length of nose. That was one of the criteria they used. कि जिनके नाक बड़े हैं इनको हम high caste में डालेंगे. Because they believed they were superior features, having a sharper nose. I'm not joking about it. That's how the caste classification has been done. If you go and read about some of these things. And translations were done and are still being done in very weird ways with incorrect understanding. It's a very sad example to give, but I'll give it because it's important to know. There was a book by Wendy Doniger, okay? It was written a book on various aspects of Hinduism. There, she translates the word Ganapati, okay? Ganapati we all know, right? Gana we know, Shiv Gana, okay? And we know Pati means Lord. So, Lord of Ganas is Ganapati. How she has translated it is, Gana is Shiva's slaves. Gana. Pati means husband. So he is the husband of Shiva's slave. So Ganapati is actually a gay god. I am not joking. It's actually there mentioned in her book. Now imagine today's time such translations are being done. What translations could be done by those people, Britishers and those Europeans who have no idea of our culture and language? But problem is we don't know our language either. We don't know our culture either. So when we want to study Upanishad, we will read that book only. I say, aisa likha hai. Oh. Think. Okay, I am skipping this video, but okay, let me ask you, which countries are known, name some martial arts. Karate, Judo, Taekwondo, sorry. Krav Maga, okay, yes. Oh, okay, finally, one name finally. Kathi, correct. Kaleri Payattu, thanks for that name game. This video was about that, I'm skipping it for lack of time. Kaleri Payattu is the world's oldest martial art. Kushti, yes, it used to be, yes, Kushti is a martial art. Yeah. So many, and Kaleri Payattu ke baare mein nice videos, I go and read about it. The British ensured that because Kaleri warriors were so fierce, the British were afraid that they would be used to rebel against them. So they banned the practice of Kaleri Payattu. Anybody having those Kaleris, those instruments, they would be jailed. And these people who still preserved it, they would do it in very secret. They hide it under the house and all of that to ensure that they don't get caught. But that's how but they used to secretly teach it. Because remember, we didn't have long documents. It was all taught from generation to generation. So if one whole generation is not allowed to practice it, that art is gone. So much such arts we have, but these Kalari people, they would quietly teach it to their children and just keep it amongst themselves. And that's how Kalari Payattu is still survived. And post-independence, it got a new lease of life. So they gave us cricket and hockey. Don't you think we could have learned cricket and hockey? And think about it. Don't we learn so many other sports? We would have learned it and played better than them. We still do, but we could have done it at that point as well. Right, correct. Now, despite all of this, how are we coping up with the hangover? Just a quick look at some statistics during independence and today's status. In fact, I think some of those numbers would have changed very recently. But look at, take any example. Even if you look at length of railways, they had 66,000 kilometers of railways. Today we have more than 1 lakh, almost double of that. We did on our own. We didn't need them to make. We made our own railways. We make our own Vande Bharat Express and all of that. Everything. You look at where they left us. But despite all this that has been done to us, we are still reasonably doing well. India is still being talked about with a lot of hope and positivity. Yeah, sure. Take it. Point remains that, while certain effects are still prevalent in us, we are overcoming a lot in our own ways. So with that, I'll just finally complete it with one last slide. How do we escape this colonial hangover? We use this in many places. Here I'm using it in this context. First step is aware. So today's session ka first job was that. Some of you may already have been aware of some of these things, but to make you all aware. Know what the false narratives are. So many things which we think are the truth. Are they really the truth? Become aware. First point. Second, care. Utkrishta Bharat, right? So we have to care to make ourselves excellent in our field. So eventually Bharat will become excellent in every field. So care for that, care for this excellence, care for this country and make that happen. We need to show the best way to take revenge is to live a good life, they say. If you want to take a revenge on your enemy, best way is to live a good life. That's the biggest revenge. So we became, when India wanted to put the first rockets, there was a humiliating article, I'm sure a cartoon, where all the elite nations are sitting in a room and one very poor Indian is shown, with a cow knocking at the doors. Can you please let me in? Aisa cartoon chapata when India was planning a space program. That is how they thought. But today they give us our satellite. Jara isko bhi launch kar do. So that's the best way to take revenge. Share. This right understanding, whatever you get, read more about it, share it with people. Share it with your friends. Share it in groups. It's a general casual conversation. You don't have to create them and give them. Just casual conversation में. Next time you see somebody making fun of something, casual conversation. अच्छा तुमको पता है ऐसा हुआ था? एक डाल दो. Give them some ideas. You see somebody sharing some humiliating post on WhatsApp. तुम बस एक डालो. I think इसका ये गलत है या जो भी है या ये counter है देख लो तो. You can do that. And that also brings you, because first you need to dare to challenge this. Most time we are very afraid. Even if we don't, if we know it is wrong, we're like, if I say they will brand me as something, they will make fun of me. I better not. मैं चुपचाप बैठ जाता हूँ. चुपचाप बैठ जाती हूँ. I will not say anything. पता नहीं क्या बोलेंगे. They will think I am very पिछड़ा. That we need some daring to question those things. Otherwise, that change will not happen. So that's the way to escape this colonial hangover. I'm sorry for taking more time than almost 15 minutes more than what I was given, but I hope you are taking back something from today's session, and it will help you ahead.